Hello there. My name is Professor Rich, and today we're learning some English. We're going to talk about interesting things to do in your life, and we're going to look at a little the present perfect in natural English use. Welcome to the channel. If this is your first time here, it's a great moment to smash that like button and hit subscribe. You have found the best, most natural place on YouTube to learn English. So, let me start us today with a picture. This is a poster of a famous film. In fact, this film was so famous that a new phrase came into the English language because of this film. Do you know this film? Let's take a look. So here is the film. The film is called The Bucket List. Have you heard of this film? Have you seen this film? And do you know what a bucket list is? This film stars Jack Nicholson and Morgan Freeman. You can see Jack Nicholson on the right, and you can see Morgan Freeman on the left. I think I'm going to position myself in the top left today. Hello. So, hello to Sleepwalker. Thank you for joining us today. Sleepwalker says, I heard about this movie, but I haven't seen it. A lot of people have heard about this movie because actually it's very famous. And as I said, we had a new phrase which come into the English language because of this film. And Julia's here. Can always rely on Julia. Hello, Julia. And hello, everybody. So, in this film, in The Bucket List, these two old men become friends. They meet in a hospital room, and they both have a serious illness. They are unlikely friends. They are from different levels of society. Jack Nicholson has a lot of money. Actually, he owns the hospital. And Morgan Freeman, he was a car mechanic. He repaired cars. He's working class, and he doesn't have a lot of money. So normally these people might not be friends, but in this situation, they become friends. And actually, they bond, they come together, they bond over something quite strange. And that's a piece of paper. So they connect and become friends because of a piece of paper. And this piece of paper is in Morgan Freeman's pocket. In his pocket. It falls from his pocket to the floor. And Jack Nicholson finds it. He finds the piece of paper which Morgan Freeman had in his pocket. And this piece of paper is a list. It's a list of things. Morgan Freeman calls it a bucket list. Any ideas what this might be? Do you have any ideas what this list could be? Morgan Freeman says it's a list which he had from school. It was an assignment from his philosophy professor at school. A bucket list. It's a list of things to do before you kick the bucket. A list of things to do before you kick the bucket. Kick the bucket. So kick the bucket is a funny little phrase, a strange idiom, maybe, in English. Kick the bucket. And kick the bucket means you come to the end of your life. It's the end of your life. So when someone kicks the bucket, that means they pass away or they die. We also say pass away in English. Pass away is a polite way to say die. So these are all ways of saying die. Kick the bucket. So the bucket list is a list of things to do in your life. It's a list of things which you want to do in your life. That's the bucket list. The film's very interesting. In the film, Jack Nicholson uses his money to make it possible so that him and Morgan Freeman can do the things on Morgan Freeman's bucket list. It's a very cool film, and I recommend it. We're going to think about this idea of a bucket list today. We need some inspiration for our bucket list. We need something to help us think about the things we could put on our bucket list. So, one place to look for inspiration for things to put on our bucket list, one place we could look to find ideas for things to put on our bucket list is the library. And in the library, I found this book. Let me just take a moment while you look at the book cover to say, smash that like button and hit subscribe. Subscribing is free, but it really helps the channel. And I also just want to say hello to everyone. So hello to Daisy. Hello to Vitelli. Hello to Zoya. Hello to Antonina, I'm guessing. I can't read it. Hello to Mr. Gordillo. And hello, Shimidada. So here's the book that I'm using to help us with ideas. And the book says 101 things to do before you're old and boring. Maybe we like that title a bit better rather than things to do before you kick the bucket. But what we're doing here is we're making a bucket list. That's the idea. 101 things to do before you're old and boring. What do you think you could find in a book like this? What ideas do you think you could find in a book like this? Do we have any suggestions in the chat? What do you think you could find in a book like this? What kind of ideas will we see in a book like this? Could you guess what we'll find in the covers of this book? Will they all be exciting things? Will some things be a little bit strange? Let's see. So we've got some ideas coming in. That's annoying. Let's see what we got. Build a house. Build a house with your own hands. That's pretty good, isn't it? Not just build a house, but do it yourself. Plant a tree. Have you seen this class before, Zoya? Have children. Have 27 children. Help someone less fortunate. Oh, that's lovely, isn't it? Go skydiving. Go skydiving, by the way, means jump out of a plane. So go skydiving or jump out of a plane. Take care of your health. I don't think this is the kind of book to say that, Shimi. Consider that the book says things to do before you're old and boring. I don't think it will talk about taking care of your health. Write a book. That's a good one, isn't it? Write a book. Write your own book. Hello, Asmana. How are you? How about this? Kiss a cat on the mouth. That's my idea. Have you ever kissed a cat on the mouth? Daisy says, yes, please. That sounds great. Have you ever written a book? Would you like to write a book? Have you ever gone skydiving? Would you like to go skydiving? I've never gone skydiving, but I would love to go skydiving. I've never jumped out of a plane, but I would love to jump out of a plane. I think that would be really an interesting experience. Have you ever had 27 children? I haven't had 27 children. I don't know if I would like to have 27 children. Oh, go on a cruise. That's a good one. I've never gone on a cruise, but I would love to go on a cruise. I would love to go on a cruise. I've never gone on a cruise. Oh, that's a really good one, Daisy. Daisy says, taste kangaroo meat. Have you ever tasted kangaroo meat? Have you ever tasted kangaroo meat? I've never tasted kangaroo meat, but I would like to taste kangaroo meat. I've never tasted kangaroo meat. I had a burger once, and they said it was kangaroo meat, but I think it was beef, and they just pretended it was kangaroo meat. So, we're going to have a look at some of the ideas from the book. I'm going to show you part of the ideas from the book, and I want you to guess the rest of the phrase. So for each of the phrases, you'll just have the first bit, and I want you to guess the rest of it. Okay? So these are all phrases in infinitive form. Infinitive means the base form of the verb. And I want you to guess the rest of it. So you can see on your screen the phrases from the book, but you just have the first part, and I want you to guess the rest. Now, Shimi, actually, I think it was Shimi, or someone. Someone else, maybe. Someone guessed one. They said plant. And actually, oh, it's Zoya. Zoya guessed it. Plant a tree. One of the ideas is plant a tree. So I want you to try and guess what the rest of these are. Zoya guessed plant a tree. What do you guys think? Asmina says appear on screen. That's a good idea. Let's have it. Learn a new skill. Shimi thinks learn a new skill. Be more specific, Julia. So not just take up new hobbies, but take up what specifically. Same for you really, Shimi, as well. Not just a new skill, but how about something specific? Daisy says milk a cow. Don't be general, not like take up a hobby or take up a skill, but be more specific. Take up the banjo. The banjo, brilliant. That's Vitelli. Says take up the banjo. The banjo is like a small guitar, and it sounds like dang 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 dang. Dang 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 dang. Dang 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 dang. That's the banjo. Very popular in Irish folk music. Visit the Taj Mahal. That's perfect. Zoya says visit the Taj Mahal. Manuel says visit the pyramids as well. Very good idea. Milk a goat, says Manuel. A little bit more exotic than milking a cow. Asmana says do an online course. So again, try to be more specific. So not just a general online course. How about something specific? Vitelli says try a new dish. Again, Vitelli, can we be more specific? What new dish do you mean? And Daisy's focusing on that being old and boring, visiting the potential nursing home. The point is, Daisy, we want a list of things that you could do when you're young, not only when you're old. So what things could we have to do when you're young? Recite a poem. Recite a poem. Nice. Let's have that. Be an optimist. Be an optimist. Or be optimistic. Be an optimist. Be optimistic. And smash that like button and hit subscribe if you're optimistic. Anawat says, do a good deed by helping elderly people at a public hospital. Do a good deed. Do a good deed. Do a good deed. I'm going to show you some of the answers in just a moment. As I go through the answers, I'd like you to try and remember them. So we're doing a little memory test here. I'm going to show you the answers, and I'd like you to try and remember them. Let's have a look. So we'll start with appear on. Somebody said this. It's appear on the front cover of a newspaper. That's pretty difficult. Has anyone appeared on the front cover of a newspaper in the chat? Listen to my question. Has anyone appeared on the front cover of a newspaper? Number 2, go. Go is very exciting. Are you ready? Does anyone know what this means? It's go skinny dipping at midnight. Can anyone in the chat explain what is go skinny dipping and why at midnight? Vitelli says, go crazy at least once in your life just for the hell of it. You know, have you ever gone crazy just for the hell of it? I've gone crazy plenty of times. I think actually now I need to not go crazy just for the hell of it. I think I'm going to be normal just for the hell of it. That's what I'm going to do from now on. We've had enough going crazy. Now I'm going to be normal just for the hell of it. Yes, so Vitelli's right. Go skinny dipping means you swim without clothes in a lake or river. That's skinny dipping. Go skinny dipping. So this is slang, and it means that you jump into a lake or river without any clothes. And this is a silly, fun thing that young people do sometimes. You see it in films and so on. Have you ever gone skinny dipping? I have one time. Have you ever gone skinny dipping? Not at midnight, though. I don't think it was midnight. Actually, I think it was the daytime. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. The next one is be an extra in a film. Be an extra in a film. What's an extra? Have you ever been an extra? Have you ever been? Listen to the pronunciation. The pronunciation of being. Have you ever been? Have you ever been an extra? Have you ever been an extra in a film? Have you ever been? Have you ever been an extra? Have you ever been an extra in a film? I haven't. But I have been the main character in a film. It was a promotional film for British Telecom, and I played the role of office manager. This was 20 years ago. That's right. When we say an extra, we mean not the main character. So I've never been an extra in a film. I've never been an extra in a film. Then we have plant. This is plant a tree. And we talked about that already. Have you ever planted a tree? And then learn. We're going to learn to speak 3 languages. Can you speak 3 languages? Have you ever learned to speak 3 languages? I haven't. I can say things in lots of languages, but I can only speak 2 languages. I can speak Spanish and English. And then I have bits from other languages. Je ne parle pas français. Je ne parle pas français. Je suis anglais. Je suis désolé. That's my French. And my German, was ist mit den Katzen bitte? What's wrong with those cats? And my Japanese, konnichiwa. Nanda kore wa? Which means, what is that? In Japanese. My Vietnamese, chop bung nam oi. Come nem. Come ang. Ang oi. Chom kiku. Chom kiku. Kiku. That means weird husband in Vietnamese. But this isn't really speaking languages. This is just silly phrases. In Russian, I know Hurusho. Hurusho. And Nichiwa. Hurusho, Hurusho. Nichiwa. Hurusho. And in Ukrainian, I know tak, 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 which means okay. Don't think do I know anything else? Oh, alhamdulillah, which is hello in Arabic. Deus vult, which means God wills it in Latin. It's funny what you pick up, isn't it? Little bits of languages. Namaste. Yes, everyone knows namaste, right? Namaste. Namaste. Great. Okay, let's move on. Take up. Take up is take up a musical instrument. So we were right with banjo. Let's take up a musical instrument. Now this next one is quite exciting, and I want to tell you, remember, this is not my recommendation. This is a list of things from this book. Professor Rich takes no responsibility for any of the things on this list, and they are not my recommendations. Are you ready? This one is do a runner from a bad restaurant. Now, does anyone know what it means to do a runner? Do a runner. Do a runner from a bad restaurant. I think in Spanish they say hacer una simpa or something like that. Is it una or un? Hacer una simpa. Simpa. Yeah, that's right. It means don't pay. Don't pay. Do a runner. Have you ever done a runner from a restaurant? I have. I'm confessing to a crime. Are you ready? Live on the internet. I'm confessing to a crime. I did a runner from a restaurant. By mistake. By mistake. It was in Stockholm, in Sweden. And we had been to a nightclub. And we were drunk in the nightclub. And the next day, we felt very sick. In English, we call it a hangover. That means you got drunk the night before, then you feel sick. And we went to an Asian chain, a chain restaurant. It was an Asian buffet, all you can eat. It's called Pong. And we went to the Asian buffet, Pong, and we took our buffet and we ate the food. And we left. And 30 minutes later, my friend an American called Daniel or Dan said, "Hey guys, hey, did we pay?" And his friend Malcolm said, I don't mind not going to Pong again. And that was it. So we did a runner. We did a runner from the restaurant by mistake, actually. I don't really know what happened, but we did it. Kind of a shame, actually. It wasn't a bad restaurant. I think I quite liked the food. It was okay. So it is a shame. It was a mistake. Okay, let's move on to cook. We're going to cook a meal for 10 people. So, Manuel Gordillo, have you ever cooked a meal for 10 people? Would you like to? When are you going to cook for me and my 9 friends? Let's do it. Do you know, cooking a meal is one thing. Cooking a meal for 10 people, that's something special. That's maybe a little bit more difficult, actually, to cook a meal for 10 people. Have you ever cooked a meal for 10 people? Daisy, you were right. Milk a cow, not milk a goat. What about visit? Visit is visit the 7 wonders of the world. What are the 7 wonders of the world? Does anyone know what these are? The 7 wonders of the world. Would you like to visit the 7 wonders of the world? Do we have anyone who has visited the 7 wonders of the world? Have ye ever visited the 7 wonders of the world? Okay, Manuel, confessing to multiple crimes. He's done many runners from restaurants when the barista was impolite. That's kind of a Spanish thing. Sometimes the waiting staff are very impolite. I've never experienced such impolite staff at bars and cafes as in Valencia in Spain. I have had some horrible experiences with waiting staff in Valencia. Really bad. I had one who refused to speak Spanish to me. They spoke Valencian to a foreigner. They spoke Valencian to a foreigner. And they brought the wrong food, and they were slow, and they were angry. It was really, really terrible service. But I didn't do a runner. So the 7 wonders of the world are the things like the pyramids and the Great Wall of China and so on. Photocopy. Are you ready for this? Photocopy your bottom at work. Have you ever photocopied your bottom at work? What does it mean to photocopy your bottom? What is your bottom? Once again, these are not recommendations. This is from the naughty book. I'm blaming the book, okay? Photocopy your bottom at work. Next. Get arrested. Have you ever got arrested? Have you ever got arrested? This is becoming a habit for me, getting arrested. Oh, no. I have. 3 times. 3 times. Have you ever been arrested? I've been arrested 3 times. Can I tell you any stories? No. I can't tell you about any. But I have been arrested 3 times. Thankfully, I've never been charged. Because actually, I don't know if you know, but as a teacher, it's kind of a bad thing if you get charged by the police. That's a problem. Even if you're innocent, you can be innocent, and in the courts, they find you're innocent. But if you're charged, you can still see that on a teacher's record. And that's not good. But I've never been charged. So that's good. But I have been arrested. Bear in mind, the police will arrest basically everyone at the scene of incidents. No, even though I ride my scooter for 10 years without a license. Well, that's normal, though, in Vietnam, isn't it? Okay, next. Jump out of a plane. It's go skydiving. Next. Write a love letter. Have you ever written a love letter? I've written at least one love letter to my wife, the only person who I've written a love letter to in my life, I believe. My memory is not perfect. Recite a poem to an audience. So not only recite a poem, but to an audience. Recite a poem to an audience. Not recite a poem to your friend. Not recite a poem on your own, but recite a poem to an audience. Next. Try a weird food. Now here I'm breaking my own rule because try a weird food is general, not specific situation. Have you ever tried a weird food? And finally, watch an opera in Italian. Have you ever watched an opera? Have you ever watched an opera in Italian? Manuel's watched many operas in Italian. He loves it. Isn't that right, Manuel? You're all about those operas. Only in Russian. Watch an opera in Italian. Vincero, vincero, vincero. Try cat meat. Oh, that's terrible, Daisy. I cannot possibly condone eating cat meat. Cats are our friends, not our food. Okay, everybody, so there's the list. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. There are 17 things. 17. How many can you remember? Are you ready? So, what can you remember? If you're watching this video later on YouTube, you can pause the video now and have a think. Try to remember what those 17 things to do before you kick the bucket are. So, what are those 17 things to do before you kick the bucket? You can pause the video now and you can think about that. For you guys live in chat, you can type any that you remember. And in just a minute or two, I'll show you the answers. Mamma Mia is in Madrid. I've never seen an opera in Italian. I have seen an opera in English and in Greek. The one in English was Elixir de Amore. Elixir de Amore, which in English is Love Potion. And I don't remember the name of the Greek opera, but it was an old one. A classic. So we got some ideas coming in. Well done, Anna. Out, milk a cow. Sleepwalker says, visit the 7 wonders of the world. Photocopy your bottom at work. Cook for 10 people. Learn 3 foreign languages. Well done, everybody. Here's your answers. These are the ones you missed. So for you guys watching the video later, your answers are right there. And of course, do make sure that you smash that like button and hit subscribe. And we're going to take a little look at some grammar. So take a look at this phrase. It says, I've never planted a tree. Maybe I'll do it one day. I've never planted a tree. Maybe I'll do it one day. So my question is, what have you never done? And here's the form, is I've never and the present participle. So what have you never done? I've never visited the 7 wonders of the world. I'd like to do it, but it's very expensive. I've never visited the 7 wonders of the world. I'd like to do it, but it's very, very expensive. Zoya says, I've never jumped out of a plane. Would you like to? I've never jumped out of a plane, but I would love to. Again, it's just expensive, but I would love to do it. I think it would be quite interesting. Zoya says, no, I'm scared. I mean, I'm scared, but that's the point, isn't it? The whole point about it is it's scary. That's why it's interesting. Because it's very scary, but it's safe. Sleepwalker says, I've never done a runner. I've never done a runner. You know what, Sleepwalker? Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a good thing. Rich says, do British students write love letters and put them under the table in school? It's not very common. We don't really have a love letter culture anymore. Not in comprehensive, in state school, anyway. Maybe in private schools they do it. Renit says, I've never got arrested. Well done. Would you like to? The handcuffs are not nice. The police are okay, though. The police in England, the police are okay. The handcuffs are not nice, but the police are okay. Just be friendly. It's fine. Be friendly, but don't say anything. Be friendly, but don't say anything. Be friendly, but don't say anything. That's what you do with the police. I can't answer that without a solicitor. Are you okay? Yes, I am. Are you okay? I can't answer that without a solicitor, though. Thank you. Manuel says, I've been arrested for a week in Puerto de la Cruz. Political issues, yeah. At the end of the day, the police are necessarily a political institution. They are a political institution. So we're going to move on to question time, folks. At this part, I will take any questions which you have about English or about learning in general. You can download the notes from today. And as always, you'll be able to get those in the chats and down below the video. They are available now. So, we're moving on to questions. If you have any questions about English, about the class today, or about education in general, you can ask those questions in the chat, and I'll do my best to answer. Oh, taken to jail. Well, I've never been taken to a jail cell. Never. And I wouldn't like to. I think I would like to not go to a jail cell ever. That would be nice. Oh, walking without ID. Whoa, that's terrible. I don't like it. So, Daisy says, are the British notoriously hoarders? I watched some hoarding videos to get motivation to declutter my house. Some people are hoarders, Daisy, but I've heard that Vietnamese people have a particular problem with hoarding. So maybe we are hoarders, and there are some people who have big problems with hoarding. By the way, hoarding means you find it difficult to throw things away. You find it difficult to throw things away. So if you find it difficult to throw things away, then you are a hoarder. And yes, there are some people who are hoarders. Hi, Rich. Are housewives considered formal economic participants? Well, it depends who you ask, Cow. I mean, for the family, yes, of course. Housewife has a hugely important economic role, which has a lot of economic worth. I think the role of housewife is very important, and it is a role which is well fulfilled by women. Of course, men can be house husbands, but that is the exception. And I think most of the time, it's a role performed better by women, in my experience and from what I can see. But I think it is a role that's very valuable for people who can have that. I think the problem, Cow, is that today it's very difficult to exist in the world in that kind of traditional family unit. Really, to have a family in the UK, both partners need to be working. So it's very difficult to have the luxury of being a housewife. Shimi says, honest question, when you're giving ideas you shouldn't give, like swimming nude, doing a run, or getting arrested, how are you not responsible? The ideas mentioned in the class today were taken from an airport book. They are presented as examples of language. I do not recommend doing these things. I take no responsibility for anyone who watches the stream and then does these things. That's how, Shimi. The point is, we can discuss language and ideas without those ideas being a recommendation. For example, if I start to say in 1939, Nazi Germany invaded Poland. Now, if anyone in the chat goes and invades Poland, that's not my responsibility. And that's how it's not my responsibility, Shimi. We're just talking about the language and the idea. I'm not making any recommendation. Manuel says that the role of housewives has disappeared in Spain. It has really in the UK as well. How would you react if your wife says she wants to pursue a career and not be a housewife? Well, Zoya, my wife does want to pursue a career, and I have no problem with that. So, for me, it's not a problem. But I do think that having someone at home who cares for children is a useful role in a family. That's all I'm saying. I think it's valuable. But if someone wants, if a woman or a man wants to pursue a professional career, of course it's their choice. And that can also be valuable. So, of course, it's no problem for me. What you don't want is someone who doesn't do a career and doesn't fill the role of housewife. If you have someone who has the role of nothing, that can be a problem for both people. Did you teach the kids that way in Vietnam? Parents might cry out loud if you mention words like arrest or nude. Really, Daisy? Yes, I did. The class which I've just shown you, I did use that class in Vietnam, yeah. With high school students. No one complained. It's just language. You have to understand, Daisy, that, in English culture, we have a tradition of free speech. This means we can discuss ideas, even if those ideas are offensive, negative, rude, evil, etc., right? Discussing a bad idea does not mean we are recommending the idea. We're just discussing it, that's all. Which sentences are correct? He got 9, he got a 9. He got 9 out of 10. He got a 9 out of 10. What's the difference between this time? Okay, hang on. He got 9. What did he get? He got 9. He got a 9. So you can actually say, I got 55 or I got a 55. And it's basically the same. I got a 55 means a score of 55. And I got 55 means I got 55 points. Something like that. So it's something like that. But they're both okay. They're all okay. And what's the difference between this time, at this time, in this time? Between this time, at this time. So at this time is an expression which means now. And in this time is literal. It means like in and then the period. So if I say like, let's talk about the 1900s. In this time, many people used gas lights rather than electric lights. So it's literal, because we could also say this or that time here, right? So this one's like a fixed expression at this time, which means now. And then in this time is just literally in and then the period of time. The Holy Roman Empire. Yes, quite interesting, the Holy Roman Empire. That's Charlemagne. They are both correct. Nicholas says, I got 9 out of 10, I got a 9 out of 10 are both correct. Yes, they're both correct. I got 9 out of 10, I got a 9 out of 10. They're good. But I agree, Daisy. I agree. So I agree with your mum. Teachers should not use swearing in class. That's true. But, however, if you are studying a language, sometimes you need to examine parts of the language which are bad. So, you know, people need to be aware of bad language. There's a difference between a teacher using the language and teaching the language. So I think it's not the same to talk about rude language. Like, okay, let's take this one. Let's have a look at that, right? So this is very rude. Do not say this to anyone ever. Okay? Don't say it. It's bad and it's rude. I'm not going to say it. Now, as a teacher, I can teach you this. However, as a teacher, I cannot say this to you. That's a different thing. So imagine if you're talking in class and I say, like, that would be really bad, Daisy, and there I totally agree with your mum. I think that would be very bad for a teacher or a student to say that to someone in class. However, I can teach you it. I'm a language teacher. These things are wrong and don't do them. Yeah. Of course. I do not recommend doing these things. 1, doing a runner from a restaurant. 2, getting arrested. That's it. If you want to photocopy your bottom at work, whatever. It's not my business. If you want to go skinny dipping, be careful. Take precautions. Make sure that it's safe and you have friends with you. That's all. But I do agree, Shimi. I don't recommend doing a runner from a restaurant or getting arrested, okay? Put a sock in it is medium rude. So this is very rude. Quite rude. So you can see, Daisy, this is why I need to be able to talk about this, because Sleepwalker has the question, says put a sock in it. Is that rude? So I need to talk about it because I'm teaching you the language. So I need to be able to tell you this is very rude, this is quite rude. Of course, if I can't tell you at all, then how can I teach you that? And it's important. It's important because people say things and they don't realize it's rude, right? Like, let me tell you, in Spanish, there's this thing where if a word ends in A, you can put on and it makes it like a big one sometimes, right? Like, can I think of an example now? I'm struggling. It's like Garafa and Garafon or something. I can't, Manuel, maybe you can help. But sometimes in Spanish, you have a at the end and it's like a normal one. And then on is a big one. Yeah, so like you've got taza and tazón. And I think like taza is a small cup and tazón is a big one, I think. So you can have that, right? Now, pollo in Spanish is chicken. But don't do that with chicken. Don't do it with chicken. Now, you need to know why you don't do that with chicken. You need to understand that it's rude and it's not a good thing to say. And in fact, you definitely don't want to go into your shop and say, hello, I want a big chicken. Because that isn't good. So we need to be able to talk about that. It happens. Many people have stories of doing things like that, and they say things by mistake. Like in Spanish, you say, tengo 41 años, right? De edad. It's like, tengo 41. años. Años, right? Años is years. A common mistake for beginners of Spanish is they say años. Tengo 41 años. Now, in Spanish, that means something else. And you need to know that. I have 41 bottoms. So this happens to language learners quite a lot, that we make mistakes which are rude. So obviously we need someone to tell us about that. Why do foreigners like to use food to express that language? It's not using food, it's using the language of food, like delicious and and tasty. There's a thing that the language of love making is similar to the language of food eating. And also the language of business is similar to the language of war. Did you know that? The language of business is similar to the language of war. Hostile takeover. Expansion. Gains. Competition. They've done analysis about this and they find these kind of interesting and strange areas where language overlaps. That's nothing to do with lovemaking, Daisy. That's just a food. Black pudding is just a food and it has no other connotations. It's just food. It's this. This is a food. Blood sausage or black pudding, we also call it. Hello, Eunice. How are you doing? We're finishing up now. The word sausage, well, you know, sausage actually is normally used only for food. The Americans have a word, which is this, wiener, and that can be used for other things. But sausage is just sausage. It's just sausage. A sausage is a sausage. There's no, you know. Morcilla. It's very healthy. Healthy morcilla. We're wrapping up. Any final questions? Yeah, in the American language. Well, they say wiener. This is a good idea to learn a bit about Old English patterns. Oh, no. It's a good idea if you're interested, Cal, but it won't help your English. Where did you learn that, by the way? That's very cool. That's very cool. I can't read it. Arfadir pat art in Yunez Hawid be the name. Yeah, I don't understand it. There are a few bits of Old English that we all know, and I think mainly it's because they're in the most popular version of the Bible in English, which is the King James Version, and they are thee, thy, thine, ye, oldie, hast, thou. So people know these words. These are Old English words. Thee, thy means you or your. Thine is your. Ye is thee. Oldie is old. Hast is have. And thou is you. So we have lots of these old words that are everybody knows, but they are archaic. But we don't actually really know Old English. So thank you very much for joining me today, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed the stream, and I hope you'll join me again next time. It's been my pleasure. My name has been Professor Rich. Make sure you smash that like button and hit subscribe. I wish you all a lovely, God-blessed weekend. May you find peace and joy and have a wonderful rest of the week. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.